Welcome to Business and Finance here on Echo Television International. I am Rachel Tanzi. Now, despite investors making so much profit in the I&E window, and despite seeing that there is so much devaluing in the currency as it stands against the dollar or exchange rate, we're seeing that investors are making a lot of profit as it is. Now we have more trooping into the economy to invest, as we are seeing that the CBN has also made the currency to float now, making the investors and exporters to be the one determining our exchange rate and how the market goes. Now, amidst all of these, we are still seeing that the external reserves are dropping, and in the last 6 months we've seen the external report dropping by $3 billion over the period of 6 months. Now we can see the Nigerian external reserve fell by $2.85 billion in the first half of 2023 due to external debt finance, among other challenges. Figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria has revealed that. Now, the CBN revealed in its figures on movement on foreign reserves that the reserve, which commenced January 3, 2023 at 37.07 billion, fell to 34.22 billion as at the end of June this year, 2023. According to the CBN, the reserve fell by 3.43 billion in 2022 from 40.52 billion naira as of the end of December in 2021 to $37.09 billion as of December last year. Now we can see that there is a continuous drop in the external reserve of the Federation, and this doesn't mean good for us. We can see that we started at 2021 with about 40 billion, and as of last year we are at 37 billion, and now at the end of June this year we are seeing ourselves with only $34 billion. Now there are so many factors that have attributed to the drop of our reserve, and one, we are seeing that we are having external debt financing. We know that our debt profile have been going high for the past month. We have a very high debt profile, and even with the high debt profile, we are seeing that Nigeria have not stopped borrowing. We have recent loans being given to us by the World Bank. We have loans coming from different angles. We have recently a $750 million loan that has gone into power projects. We are seeing 800 million from the World Bank. First, for palliative, we have another $800 million still coming from the World Bank, and the chains of loans continue. Now, in as much as the Debt Management Office have assured us that Nigerians are not faulting in their debt payment, we can say also that these debts are accumulating, and we're also going to look at how our debt financing is gulping. And we're not even talking about external debt financing, we're talking about our internal debt financing that is gulping a huge sum of money. Now, other factors also that is causing the decrease in our reserve is our foreign exchange market. We know that there is a pressure right now in the foreign exchange market, and we are seeing that the dollar has been fluctuating up and down, and it haven't been moving down consistently or going up consistently. We will have the windows closing at there about 704 billion, 704 naira to a dollar, and we've seen it go as low as 600, and even for some exchange window and period down to 400. However, we are still having our naira losing its value against the dollar, and these are one of the reasons, these are many of the reasons, one among the many reasons that we are having our reserves going low. We are now also seeing that the external reserve position has remained weak against the backdrop of the limited capacity of the country to earn foreign exchange from both non-oil and oil export. Now, a good handle on the oil theft and other challenges, along with commencement of local refining of oil by the Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Company, coupled with elimination of the notorious petrol subsidy regime, should help to achieve stability in the foreign exchange market and exchange rate. Now, these are some of the things that we have seen the government put in place to make sure that our reserves start gaining some value. We know that recently the Dangote refinery has been launched. Now this means that we might, hopefully, if this refinery run as expected, that we might not need to be importing oil for the consumptions of Nigeria, as this refinery has the capacity to produce oil enough for our daily consumption as a country. Now, by the time this refinery will reach that peak, we will be able to gain some more reserves and it will increase that. Now, we are also seeing that the foreign exchange market, the floating and all of the monetary policy that the government have put in place, the government is hoping and expecting that these economic policies and economic processes that have been put in place will be able to help our reserve grow. But as it stands now, we are seeing a decline, and hopefully all of these financial measures will be able to achieve some stability for our external reserves. Now, our debt servicing have been gulping trillions of naira, and it hasn't been joke on the economy. We are looking at about 1.2 trillion naira just in the first quarter of 2023. Now, this is not our external debt servicing, but we're also talking about the internal debt servicing, copying a good chunk of it together with the external debt servicing. Now, the Debt Management Office has disclosed that Nigeria's total public debt has risen to $108.3 billion. Now, this is our internal debts that the federal government have gotten from banks within, businesses within, and then billionaires included, to be able to do things. Now, the DMO stated that the figure, which include money owned by the federal and state government, does not include the federal government 22.7 trillion ways and means advance of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, debt servicing for a country, these are the interest rates that are being put on loans, and it's applicable to every person. If you walk to the bank and you are able to acquire a loan of whatsoever amount, there is an interest rate. And lately we've been seeing that there has been an increase by the CBN in the interest rate, which have caused a lot of problem for the small, medium scale businesses. And we have also seen it has directly or indirectly affected production in the country for manufacturers, and this has also affected inflation. Now, we see that even the federal government also have to face this debt financing, this debt servicing, as it have reached up to 1.2 trillion naira. And we are talking about the first quarter of 2023. We are looking at that there will be also another debt financing for the second quarter, the third quarter, and even the last quarter of the year. Now, we can estimate above the 5 trillion naira for our debt financing. However, the Debt Management Office have assured us that they are not faulting in debt payment, and if they're not faulting in debt payment, then we can see a drop. We might see a drop in the debt servicing of the nation, but as it stands now, it is very high, and I believe that the office are doing everything in place to see that our debt service are also going low. Now, according to the IMF, internal debt, include that of the private sector, will rise, with external reserve climbing to 37.5 billion. Now, this is a report coming from the IMF concerning Nigeria and our debt profile. Now, these statistics from them is not for the external debt that we already have accumulated, but they are seeing that we currently, our internal, that is private sector debt, as I have explained, is at $108 billion. Now, they are estimating that it could get to $121.6 billion, and with our external reserve climbing, now we can see that there is a drop, but then hopefully there could be a climb in our external reserve. Now, amidst fuel subsidy removal and all the chaos around it, we can clearly remember and recall where Mele Kyari told us how much the federal government is spending on subsidy removal. Now, in as much as this policy came with a lot of mixed reactions, now, some Nigerians a lot believe that it is the right thing to do because we are losing a lot of money due to fuel subsidy removal. And we saw that there has been a breakdown from the NNPCL boss concerning how this subsidy removal have been happening, what marketers get, what the company buys the fuel at, and what they give to the marketers, and how much they are able to sell at the fuel pump price. Now, this total calculation times 30 days of the daily consumption of fuel in the country, we saw that how much Nigeria can save or have been spending previously on fuel subsidy is $400 billion. Now, we know that this subsidy have been removed, and it is assumed or believed that if we have been spending 400 billion naira every month on fuel subsidy, it means for the month of July, for the month of June, rather, the federal government must have been able to save 400 billion naira from fuel subsidy removal. Now, it doesn't stop there, because SERAP is asking the federal government to give account of what this 400 billion naira have been used for, or what it will be used for. And it is very important, because the number one reason stated by the federal government for the removal of fuel subsidy is corruption. That is, the money has been channeled the wrong way, and there are a lot of people benefiting from it the wrong way rather than how it should be benefited on as the country entirely. Now, if that's one of the major reasons for fuel subsidy removal, amongst many other important reasons, then we should be able to know how much what this money will be used for or channeled for. So the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Tinubu to publish expenditure of about 400 billion naira so far saved from the removal of the premium motor spirit subsidy. It implored the Nigerian leader to provide details of how subsequent savings will be spent, including specific project and mechanism to place to ensure that the funds are not embezzled again, misappropriated, or diverted into private pockets. Now, this is very important, as one of the things that have been consuming the wealth and setting us backward economically in this country is the fact that there is a lot of money, embezzlement, and fraud going on with the revenue generated in the country. We are still looking at the issue of oil theft that has largely affected our oil revenue, and we are also looking at so many monetary policies that have been implemented in the past that haven't gone well. Now, if subsidy removal is going to be effective and Nigerians will feel the positive effect of it, then something has to be used, and the money has to be used appropriately. And we need transparency and accountability from the government as to what this will be used for, to avoid the fear that was on it in the past to repeat itself. Now, we have to also know that this is not the first time that fuel subsidy have been removed in the country, but in the past it has been washed down and nothing has really been said concerning where the money was channeled. Even if it was at then, it had just passed through the water, and then nobody can say anything much about it. Now, for this administration, if Nigerians want to believe that their sacrifice they're making with the hardship that is currently because of fuel subsidy removal, then they have to be sure that they are making the right sacrifice as to what this money will be used. So it is supposed to be in the power of the federal government to come out and tell the citizens of Nigeria that you are making this sacrifice, and this is what will be channeled into. We're looking at food crisis. It means that the agricultural sector is dearly in need of money. We're looking at our doctors leaving the shores of this country. It means that the health sector needs a lot of investment also. We're looking at ASU making a lot of demands, going on strike. This can stop. There are so many things that these resources can be channeled to. We're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about road construction, infrastructures, we're talking about big mega businesses that could help Nigerians. If they make this sacrifice, they need to see something for it. Now the government have to come out with a blueprint that we will see its effect concerning what this 400 billion naira will be used for. Now don't forget that this is going to accumulate, and by the end of July, still with the fuel subsidy gone, we're now looking at 800 billion naira, and after the third month, we are looking at the fuel subsidy removal saving for the federal government reaching over 1 trillion naira. So this will be an accumulated income for the government that can be channeled towards many sectors and many things that are in need of the attention of the federal government. Now, amidst all the crises, all the economic crises, the reserves going down, our exchange rate battling up and down, we are still seeing that banks' assets are rising by 25.88% to 80.9 trillion naira. Now, this is a report coming from the CBN itself. Now, the total assets of the banking industry grew by 16.65 trillion naira, or 25.88% from 64.32 trillion in April 2022 to 80.97 trillion naira in April this year. Now, latest data released by the central bank have shown this statistic. Now, according to personal statement written by the Monetary Policy Committee members, this was posted at the Apex Bank over the weekend in the regular banking system stability review report, indicated that Nigeria's banking system remains sound and resilient despite global economic uncertainty and banking turbulence in some advanced economies. Now, we can't remember that before the cash crunch early and the first quarter of this year, we saw that the lending or borrowing from businesses to banks, or from businesses to, or from private individuals to the banks, have gone on. Now, immediately we stopped having the issue of cash crunch. We saw that there was a little increase. It wasn't much. There about a 3% increase in businesses now going to the banks for loan. Now, I want to believe that this is one of the factors among the many which that have affected the increase in assets for banks as recorded by the CBN. And we can see that, yes, despite the dwindling economy and the ups and downs and things not going as expected, we're looking at interest rates still going high. We can see that the banking and our commercial banks in general have made a profit amidst everything that has been happening. Now, we saw recently that the chief financial officer of Zenith Bank, that is Dr. Multak, just got the chief financial officer award of the year by the All African Business Leaders Award. And we are still seeing that Zenith Bank at every level, be it individually or group wise, are still staying at the top. Now, Zenith Bank PLC has retained its ranking as the #1 bank in Nigeria by Tier 1 Capital in 2023 to top 1,000 World Bank's ranking. This is published for the 14th year in a row. The bank has held its position as the #1 Tier 1 bank in Nigeria, emerging as the 467th bank globally with a Tier 1 capital of 2.54 billion. Now, this ranking has been published, and we can see that Zenith Bank is 467 globally, and we are seeing that it retains its #1 position in Nigeria. Now, this is amidst everything. We can see that the revenue keeps growing. No wonder we are seeing that bank assets have grown by 25.88%, and we are seeing that Zenith Bank is having a capital of $2.54 billion. And I would like to, and we also saw that Dangote still remains the richest man in Africa, and these are all people that have been making and shaping Nigeria's economy, Africa's economy, and everything that has been happening with us. We've seen how Dangote refinery is one of the major reasons that Nigeria may not see this fuel subsidy removal hardship for a long period of time, because we believe that this refinery has the capacity of stabilizing our fuel pump price, seeing how it can help with our exchange rate, and we are seeing how it can help also the reserves to increase by the time the refinery starts producing the daily requirement of petrol consumption in Nigeria. And this is how far we are going today. See you next time. Goodbye.